Good day, YouTube. What day is today? It's the 13th of May, 2023. This is my 2008 Yamaha Drive G29 golf cart. We bought this thing in non-running condition. We got the thing working. And then we've been working hard and spending some money on this thing, fixing it up, making it nice. We got a trip we're going to take. We're going to follow a dirt track race in Oregon and Washington. It's 8 days, 8 races at 7 different racetracks. And we needed something to run around the racetracks with because we're camping at all the facilities. So I'd started off fixing up my 88 club car, and then the engine went south, so I had to stop on that. I had this cart, and it worked at that time. We got it working, so this is the one I finished getting all fixed up, and we'll deal with the club car when we get back. So I wanted to go over all the wiring on this. So it's completed. Everything works now. But I wanted to share with you all how I did the wiring on this cart. We added quite a lot of infrastructure to this cart. We put some gauges and such in it that all come on when we turn on the ignition switch, right? We put headlights and such on this cart. Okay, we got directionals and things, which is wonderful. Got 4-way flashers. This is all set up to be street legal one day. Okay, so let me go over with you how I wired this cart in case there's parts or pieces of my installation that interest some of you. First off, the charge port wasn't even connected when I got this cart. So I connected the charge port. I have my negatives over here, my positives over here. It's a 48 volt system. And you can see I have 2 fuse holders, okay? One of the fuses is for the charge port. Should anything happen to the wiring, I put the fuses as close to the battery as practical, okay? So if anything should happen to the wiring on the charge port, or if for some reason we'd start to draw or put in more than 30 amps, that fuse will blow. The second fuse is for a harness that I brought up through that trough into this, we'll call this the console area, okay? So I drilled and put a 1032 stud through this thick plastic piece, and this is my 12 volt positive, okay? That is that wire coming from the battery right there and fused at 30 amps. Very good. It's a 10 gauge wire. Obviously the ground's connected too, and the grounds are over here, all of the grounds, okay? I put that ground post in. You can see every ground wire here, whether it's a 12 volt or a 48 volt, all of the grounds are tied together right there. Okay, so next thing I did was put a a 48 volt relay in that is tied to the ignition switch. All right, so you turn the ignition switch on, it pulls this relay in and allows voltage to flow, okay, to a switched stud. Right now it's floating in the air and it's going to be, I'll tape this up shortly, but I wanted to leave it available to show you all. Okay, so everything on this stud, it's a 1032 bolt with 2 nuts on it, so you can use 2 3/8 wrenches and tighten all these connections. This way, if I ever want to take anything off or add anything to it, all I have to do is crimp a ring terminal on, take the nut off, add it to it, tighten it back up again. Okay, that's the reason for the studs. It's very common in the electrical industry, like industrial motors and stuff that are all terminated, that you crimp eyes terminals on them and bolt them together, and then you can just tape them up. Then if you have to change the motor out, you don't have to shorten the leads. Okay, and it's very easy to do. It's a very good connection. We'll be good to go. So from this 48 volt stud, I went to my power meter. Okay, the power meter needs obviously 48 volts. And it's a good number 10 wire. It tells me that I'm 100%. If I can hold the camera and push that button at the same time. And that I'm at 50.9 volts on my batteries. Okay. That is one, excuse me, of the connections that are attached to my switched 48 volts. The other one that is connected here is my 48 to 12 volt converter right here. This 48 to 12 volt converter then feeds my fuse box. Okay, it's a 12 circuit, which is overkill, but for the moment I have 1, 2, 3, 4 USB connectors, or power ports. So I have a power port here, 12 volt to whatever, and I have a converter in for a USB that's running my dash, it's a clock and a GPS speedometer. And then we have this double USB charge port. Can I get a video with my hand out of the way? I don't know, maybe. Anyway, there's 2 USB charge ports behind door number 1, and it's got a voltmeter in it, so we're at 11.9 volts off the converter, which is good. And then on the passenger side, I have 2 more, just the same. Okay, so we can charge phones and radios and such. All right. Again, that's all coming off of that 12 circuit fuse panel. Now there's a cover that goes on it, and this type has the LEDs that light up if you blow a fuse. Also, my LED light circuit is coming off of this 48 volt stud. I ordered a 48 volt light kit. Those have been available now for a little while. So I'm operating my headlights not on the converter, but on 48 volts directly, and that includes, headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals, and the horn, all 48 volt directly, not on a 12 volt circuit. Okay. Again, I put all of my grounds under the same stud, whether they were for the 48 volt system or the 12 volt system. All the grounds are tied together and it works fine. Okay. I think that's kind of it. Everything works great. I'm about to button this thing up and call it done. Got the little 4-ways going. Must have the headlights on. Yep. Put a cool steering wheel on it. But everything functions good. So that's roughly how I did the infrastructure wiring. I have a video out on installing the headlights and stuff, which I ran that harness through the brake pedal cover. Maybe the only caveat is I didn't take the power to the batteries for it, and the harness is built to do that. So I spliced it here and came back up into the console to make up on my 48 volt stud there. So the headlights have power, and I didn't take them direct to the battery. Everything is here. So if I ever have to troubleshoot anything, replace anything, say I want to add dome lights, fancy lights, car stereo, whatever, I have power sources right here. All I have to do is crimp a lug on and use one of the unused terminals, and there again, I have power. All my grounds are connected to the same point. It's well grounded, and it's great. So that is the overview for the electrical for this. I might give you just a close-up of the relay. This is like every other 12 volt relay that you've ever seen. It's just a 48 volt version of it. It's 40 amp rated, which should be overkill, but it should last forever. And that's what's mounted in there. I purchased all of my electrical components on Amazon. Just do a search for what you're hunting for. I could tell you that if you could buy one of these relays for $10, and I bought 3 of them for 14, I figured, well, I might do it again, and it'll be money well saved to have a couple on the shelf. So I always do that. All right, guys, I appreciate the comments. Appreciate the thumbs up. I hope this helps somebody. And we'll catch you guys on the next video.